Roland Mumford with Mumford.law. Anybody watch that Texas A&M and South Carolina game? I never thought I'd have to be talking about the police misconduct during a football game. Ordinarily, when we see these state troopers at college football games, they're there to escort and protect the coaches. Never did I imagine we'd be doing a story about a Texas trooper who clearly intentionally shoves two South Carolina players as they're coming out from the locker room through that area there onto the field. And in this news report that we'll show in a moment, it'll discuss and show in slow motion how you see the trooper extends out both elbows and then assaults and commits battery against those two South Carolina players. The one player then turns around and addresses the trooper for what he had done. And then you see that Texas trooper escalate. And then we don't know what he said, but you can see he's clearly yelling and pointing his finger at the player. Just to the right of that player, you see somebody with a camera. Now, I'm not sure if he got it all on camera or if he captured the audio, but there are news outlets now that are doing open records requests for the body camera of that trooper. I doubt that body camera was turned on. Why would he have turned that on to walk into the locker room area there, that area of the stadium? So what could this player do, or what could both players do, actually? When we read the report, they keep talking about how he elbowed the one player to the right in the video, but if you clearly see in slow motion, the way he raises up his elbows, he assaults and commits battery against both players. So let's play this news report, and then we'll talk about the legal analysis about what these players could do.
I said, well, it time to cave again this year. So, but no, they pulled it out.
Saturday's Texas A&M versus South Carolina game had many Aggie fans like third-generation Aggie Craig Graves energized after a 27-point comeback win.
I think that they've learned how to go and adjust now during the halftime, which they never could do that before. So that's great.
But Saturday's big win comes with a sour aftertaste.
That guy should never step foot on Kyle Field again.
During the game, following a long touchdown scored by South Carolina wide receiver Nick Harbor, he and his teammates appear to get into a confrontation with a Texas Department of Public Safety trooper who walks between Harbor and teammate Oscar Hadaway III.
When I initially saw it, of course, it wasn't in slow motion and all that. And so I was just like, why did he come into contact with those guys?
During that moment captured on video by ESPN, the trooper appears to elbow his way through the players as he walks in between them. He then says something to Harbor, who then turns around and apparently says something to the trooper.
And just literally tries to bulldoze both of these kids. And I was like, my God, what are you doing?
The moment captured the attention of many prominent athletes like NBA star LeBron James, who called for the trooper to be suspended. According to Texas A&M police, the trooper was removed from the game after the interaction. We reached out to Texas DPS to request body cam video of the incident and to see if there had been any other disciplinary action against the trooper. They responded simply that our requests had been received by the Media and Communications Office.
That's not reflective of law enforcement that I know of. As DPS.
After Saturday's game, South Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer was asked about the trooper being removed.
First-class people. So I appreciate them handling that the right way and sending him home.
You said that if, these players at South Carolina, if someone on that team wanted to, they could pursue legal charges against this officer.
That is, in my opinion, that's a Class C assault. That's just a bully with a badge.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and get the latest news by downloading the CBS Austin News app.
Now, you've seen that news video and you saw clearly what happened in slow motion, how he assaulted and committed battery against those two players. And you saw the analysis there in the news report. And now there's news reports that have come out that said that he was removed from the field. And there's been some other news reports that make it sound like he had been relieved of duties. But what exactly does that mean? Was he fired? I don't think so. But I think they're still investigating the matter. And they're going to have to do something about this. This was very embarrassing to the law enforcement agency over the Texas troopers. I think they're referred to as Texas Rangers. I'm not sure, but something needs to be done. But anyways, what legal action could these players possibly take? Well, one, it would depend upon, there's two analyses. One, was this officer acting under the color of law, or was he acting in his individual capacity? Now, there at that moment, the trooper was not escorting a coach. I think if he was, then he could argue that he was acting under the color of law. But to extend out his elbows and strike the two players, I don't know how he would argue that he was acting under the color of law. But now let's say that he was. And would you bring a 1983 action? Well, you could claim excessive force, maybe possibly some kind of theoretical argument of seizure, but mainly it'd be an excessive force argument. But then that's going to obviously bring up the defense of qualified immunity. The other alternative is to sue him in his individual capacity and that he was not acting under the color of law. Now, he's clearly going to say that he was there acting under the scope of employment, that he was on duty, he was in uniform, but how is he acting as a trooper in that instance under the color of law, striking those two players? I think they'd have a better argument suing him individually for assault and battery. Now, this was in Texas, and there would clearly be some type of argument about assault and battery under a Texas statute, and sue him civilly. And I think he should also be prosecuted criminally. And apparently, this all resulted, if I understand the news reports correctly, that there was a huge play by a South Carolina player running the ball back either for a touchdown or very close to the red zone. I don't know if one of these two players was one of those two individuals that ran that play. I don't know, but that's something that I keep watching in these news reports. So I think that's what the players should do. So here in this next video, I'm going to play a clip of Stephen A. Smith and what he says about this incident. It's colorful, and it's insightful. Thank you for your time. Please click like, share, and subscribe.
This is a no-brainer to me. Nick Harper from South Carolina catches a pass, scampers down the field for a long touchdown run, runs into the tunnel because he's holding his hamstring, and then his teammates come to help him because they know that something must be wrong because he kept going in there and he's holding his hamstring. He comes back out. You can see the officer at the stadium walking in between two players and literally bumps into both of them and flexes his arms out before turning around and telling them to get on out of here and all of this other stuff. We saw it. It's clear as day. It's an automatic suspension. The man shouldn't be allowed to work the game again. What you doing messing with a player like that for? Was somebody in street clothes that you didn't know was a player? You knew exactly who it was. You knew it was a player for South Carolina. You knew that, and you did it anyway. There's nothing to think about here. There's no argument. There's no excuse on the part of the behavior of the officer. He shouldn't even be allowed to cover the games anymore, and definitely should be suspended.
And a receiver, take a look at it in slow motion. The A&M cop bumps the South Carolina football player, and then he turns around and tries to incite a riot. Thankfully, Texas A&M dismissed the cop and ain't got to deal with it, but wow.
What happened at the Texas A&M South Carolina football game is unacceptable for an officer who was there to protect everyone in the stadium to walk toward those young players with that level of aggression, that level of intention, that level of purpose, and that purpose being nothing for good is something that just can't happen. And now, if you are these young men's parents, this is worst case scenario for you. This is something you've coached your kids through. You've told them how to behave. You told them what to say. You've told them how to look. And you've told them all of these things just to stay alive. And so now in this situation, someone who is in that stadium to protect them is the aggressor. And here's my biggest problem with the whole thing. There was 100,000 people in the stands. There were two entire football teams on the field, and there were millions of people watching on TV. So what kind of decisions does this officer make when no one is watching, when there are no immediate consequences? And thank God that Texas A&M acted extremely quickly to at least try to rectify the situation so everyone on that football field and in those stands could feel safe. But this is a cautionary tale. This is a warning. There are those people that feel so entitled and so empowered and have that level of audacity and also intoxication on power that they believe that they're above the law. It's not just about protecting those young men on the field, which is something we have to do. It's about protecting those young people in these streets, in these schools, that just walk around in everyday life from those who don't understand the power of the badge and the responsibility of it. Thank God today worked out the way it did and we got a great SEC battle. But not every young man is so lucky.